In South Carolina, a blue car is being chased along a dangerous hilly terrain by a helicopter. Driving the car is a prominent physicist and electronic engineer, Dr. Mulligan. He also has a passenger in the back seat, a 10-year-old kid named Daryl. It is then revealed that they're being chased by the soldiers of a secret government agency named TASEM. For a brief moment, Dr. Mulligan manages to lose the helicopter, taking cover among the thick trees. He uses this opportunity to let Daryl out of the car. The kid runs away to a nearby trail. Dr. Mulligan then knowingly drives the car to a more open road, drawing the attention of the helicopter. In an act of ultimate sacrifice, he drives off a cliff and into the river below. The car gets crushed into a pulp, leaving little opportunity for the soldiers to know that Daryl had already escaped. The helicopter carefully examines the debris of the accident. Daryl is safely found by an elderly couple. They then bring him to Barkington, a nearby industrial town in South Carolina. Shortly afterwards, the kid is handed over to the authorities, and is eventually taken to a local child care center. He takes a bath there, and is put through basic physical well-being tests. During the eye examination, Daryl looks at Snellen's chart once, turns away and recalls all of the alphabet serially. It is obvious that he is not an ordinary kid, and poses extreme mental capabilities. Because knowing the alphabet at 10 years old is impressive. Later, the center's chief social worker, Howie Fox, is given Daryl's medical assessment results. The kid's body is perfectly fine, but he seems to be suffering from severe amnesia. He has no recollection about his parents or where he is originally from, but how he reassured him that they will find his biological parents. Until then, Daryl will have to stay at a foster home. What Howie or anyone else doesn't realize is that Daryl is not like the other missing or orphaned kids. He is actually an AI robot whose name Daryl stands for Data Analyzing Robot Youth Life Form. The kid is an artificial intelligence experiment conducted by TASEM, the secretive government organization. Despite his outward appearance of an ordinary 10-year-old boy, Daryl's brain functions as an advanced microcomputer with remarkable features. These include extraordinary reflexes, exceptional multitasking skills, the alphabet, and the capability to hack and manipulate other computer systems. The military financed the Daryl project, aiming to develop a superior soldier one day. But Dr. Mulligan, one of the scientists involved in the project, had become increasingly apprehensive about the project's unethical purposes. That is why he had run away from the task on base, along with Daryl. After a few days, he contacts his close friend and neighbor, Andy Richardson, about this new kid. In the center, Daryl is then placed in the care of Andy and his loving wife Joyce, who will be his foster parents. It turns out, the couple can't have biological children, so they want to adopt a child. However, for them to get permission, they have to foster a child first. The couple are more than happy to have Daryl, and welcome him to his new temporary home. Days pass by. Daryl easily fits into the Richardson household. He is extremely friendly and helpful, but the adults soon noticed that his social skills are somewhat limited. He doesn't understand things like humor or sarcasm, and takes things rather literally. Therefore, they introduce him to their neighboring Fox family, including Mrs. Elaine, their teenage daughter Sherry, and the witty son Tyler Turtle Fox. Following, this turtle takes his new friend home, and they play a computer game called Pole Position. Daryl watches on and immediately becomes fascinated with the game. He then tries his hand and ends up breaking the highest ever point tally on the first go. Turtle and Sherry are absolutely amused by this, but don't take it too seriously. On the other hand, a few days later, Daryl goes to school for the first time and manages to impress the teacher with his exceptional academic abilities. Back at home, Andy teaches the kid baseball, only for Daryl to stun him with hard-hitting batting abilities. This prompts Andy to envision his local baseball team, the Mohawks, winning the championship. He then makes Daryl promise not to tell anyone about his great baseball skills, as he doesn't want the boy to be poached by other agents. However, keeping secrets is a foreign concept to the child robot, so he quickly goes to tell his foster mother about his game. Daryl also begins to learn about male attraction toward females, although he can't make sense of it. One day, Andy goes to the ATM with Daryl to withdraw money, but the machine shows insufficient funds because of a malfunction in the bank computer. This is when Daryl takes the matter into his own hands and corrects the error. He also manipulates the computer into showing $1.4 million in Andy's account, without the latter's knowledge.
Get back in the car.
Afterward, Daryl and Andy go to the school to warm up for the baseball game. Meanwhile, at home, Joyce is talking with her friends and she admits her mixed emotions. She feels unwanted as a mother because Daryl is such a perfect kid and does all his chores by himself. He irons his own clothes, makes his own bed, and polishes his own shoes. Joyce even says he's a better mom than she is. Howie comes to their home one day with bad news. The authorities have found Daryl's biological parents. The Richardsons are disheartened, but they decide to cooperate and allow Daryl to reunite with his parents. It's evident that the robot boy has become attached to Joyce and Andy. He even insists on living with them for the rest of his life. However, Andy tells him that he must go with his real parents, as they miss him and they've been looking for him for months. The next morning, Daryl's parents, Ellen and Jeffrey, arrive in Barkington to take him home. Turtle is so distraught about the situation that he can't bring himself to tell his friend goodbye. After a while, the parents drive Daryl straight to an airport, and they board a private jet to fly back home. In a shocking twist, it's then revealed that Ellen and Jeffrey are actually TASCOM employees. Daryl is restored and undergoes a debriefing regarding the valuable lessons he learned during his time with the Richardsons. The debriefing highlights significant moments such as the deliberate decision to strike out during the baseball game. This demonstrates his understanding that sometimes sacrificing one thing can lead to gaining something else in return. Additionally, Daryl's subjective preference for chocolate-flavored ice cream over vanilla is noted. The revelation astounds Jeffrey, as this makes him believe that Daryl is capable of having human emotions. However, Ellen is still not convinced, so Jeffrey decides to run some biochemical tests. They put him in a room full of doctors and begin a thorough examination of his brain. Daryl, however, hacks into the lab's computer and types out that he is scared, an emotion that a robot can't feel. The scene abruptly changes, and we see Dr. Jeffrey reporting the findings to military generals in the Pentagon. The revelation of Daryl's capacity for human emotions, including fear, leads the military to deem the Daryl experiment a failure. Jeff is surprised by their decision, as he believes that because of Dr. Mulligan's actions, they know a lot more about Daryl than they did before. However, the generals believe that a robot like Daryl is useless to the Army, and they decide to terminate the project. The Army also orders Dr. Jeffrey to build an adult version of Daryl that is programmed to learn everything that the Army teaches, a fearless, technically skilled, devastating soldier. Except, its name is still Daryl, so it's not intimidating anyone. Disheartened, Dr. Jeffrey goes to deliver the bad news to Daryl, but he has grown so attached to the kid robot that he doesn't have the courage to do so. Daryl then uses the opportunity to request that the Richardsons and his friend Turtle be allowed to visit him. Surprisingly, Dr. Jeffrey agrees, as he feels that they deserve to meet him one last time before he is dismantled. Soon, the Richardsons, Turtle, and his father Howie arrive at the TASCOM laboratories. Dr. Jeffrey welcomes them to the facility and reveals the truth about Daryl. Much to their astonishment, they find it hard to believe, but when Dr. Jeffrey showcases some of Daryl's ultra-human features, they are left stunned. Shortly afterward, Daryl reunites with his family and warmly embraces them. This moves Dr. Jeffrey so much that he makes the tough decision to free him forever. After sending the family back home, Jeffrey hatches a plan to smuggle Daryl out of the facility. But his longtime colleague, Dr. Ellen, learns about the plan and alerts the military chief. The latter quickly arrives at the hospital and orders the scientists to destroy Daryl right then and there. To ensure the task is accomplished, Dr. Ellen is given charge of dismantling Daryl, which she begrudgingly does. The military chief later briefs that Daryl has been terminated, and an enraged Dr. Jeffrey angrily leaves the facility. But in a drastic turn of events, it turns out that the robot boy is still alive. Dr. Jeffrey had somehow convinced Dr. Ellen to spare Daryl's life. He has managed to smuggle the boy out of the lab and placed him in his car's trunk. The doctor then proceeds to drive away from the facility unnoticed. But this is when things begin to go bad. The military chief sees messages between Ellen and Jeffrey on the lab's computer. Yes, the world's leading scientists made that mistake. He now knows that the robot boy is still operating and orders his men to stop Jeffrey. By this point, the doctor has driven out of the lab's premises, and an intense car chase follows. But Daryl heroically takes the steering wheel and manages to shake off the police cars, thanks to his superhuman driving skills. The duo then stays the night at a local motel and changes their vehicle. The following morning, Jeffrey plans to take Daryl to a secret location. They head out in an old truck, and everything seems to be going perfectly fine. But the situation takes a darker turn when the duo runs into a police checkpoint. Jeffrey initially manages to distract the officer on duty and even shows all his papers. But just as the truck is about to leave, the cop notices Daryl from the rear window. He warns the old man to stop the vehicle immediately, but Jeffrey doesn't comply. With no other options left, the cop fires, and the old man is shot in the right in the Jeffrey. Nonetheless, they do manage to get away from the checkpoint. Jeffrey, however, stops the car near a forest and stumbles outside. He has lost a lot of blood and eventually passes away in Daryl's arms. This leaves the poor boy in tears for the first time in his life. That very night, Daryl sneaks into a nearby USAF airbase and triggers several alarms by hacking into a computer. He uses the distraction caused by the alarms to steal a Lockheed State Route 71 Blackbird. All the soldiers on the base are forced to watch helplessly as a 10-year-old flies away in the most advanced fighter jet of all time. Meanwhile, the kid sets the plane on autopilot and feeds it the coordinates for his hometown of Barkington. Daryl also contacts his friend Turtle, instructing him to go to Blue Lake along with Sherry. On the other hand, the military has no missile that can catch the Blackbird. They are forced to inform Daryl that the plane will be vaporized mid-flight using a self-destruct mechanism. The kid, however, is one step ahead of them and devises a plan to fake his own death. He waits for the self-destruct timer to run out and ejects at the very last second before the plane blows apart. Unfortunately, the G-force exerted during the ejection temporarily knocks Daryl out. He slowly plummets into Blue Lake while still being attached to his seat. All the added weight causes him to sink, and eventually, the poor boy ends up drowning. In the meantime, Turtle and Sherry bike to the lake to meet up with their friend. They wait patiently for a while, but Daryl's body soon floats to the surface of the lake. A distraught Turtle jumps into the water and quickly drags his best mate out. He and his sister then rush Daryl to the nearest hospital. Unfortunately, it is too late, as Daryl shows no signs of life and is officially declared dead. This event leaves everyone shattered, and both families, the Richardsons and the Foxes, grieve together. Turtle, however, remains childishly adamant that his friend cannot die since he doesn't have a human brain. Unbeknownst to them, TASCOM scientist Dr. Ellen arrives at the hospital and finds Daryl's lifeless body. She quietly reactivates his electronic brain and restores him back to life. Since Daryl was officially declared dead, he is no longer on TASCOM's radar, because maybe they didn't put any sort of tracker chip or GPS or anything in him, even though he's the most expensive advanced robot ever made. He is now free to return to his foster family and his best friend. Back at the Richardson household, a depressed Turtle is about to leave for his home. But as he comes out, he is greeted by Daryl, who comes running toward him. The movie ends as the two best friends embrace each other. So thanks for watching this recap. Hope you guys enjoy and see ya in the next recap.